Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there? Or maybe you're telling a story and suddenly that one word, just on the tip of your tongue, vanishes into thin air. You're not alone. These little memory slips are so common, especially as we get older, and while they might seem harmless at first, they can be frustrating and a little scary, too. But here's something comforting: your brain is still very much alive and kicking. It just needs a little more care than it used to. And no, I'm not talking about fancy supplements or brain training apps that cost a fortune. I'm talking about something you already do every single day: eating. What if I told you that the food on your plate could actually help your brain stay sharp, focused, and even boost your mood? In this video, we're going to talk about 5 simple foods, easy to find, delicious, and most importantly, proven to give your brain the extra support it needs as you age. These aren't strange, exotic ingredients. They're everyday foods that can make a big difference over time. So, if you're looking to stay mentally sharp, keep your memory in check, and maybe even feel a little more energized, stick with me. Let's start with one that might already be sitting in your kitchen right now: blueberries. Yes, those little blue gems aren't just tasty, they're like gold for your brain. You see, blueberries are packed with something called antioxidants, and more specifically, a type called flavonoids. Now, you don't need to remember the science why name. Just know this: they help fight off the damage that builds up in our brains over time. Think of them as tiny bodyguards, protecting your memory and helping your brain cells communicate better. There was even a study done with older adults, where those who ate blueberries regularly showed improvements in memory and cognitive function. And we're not talking about eating buckets of them. Just a small handful a few times a week can help. You can toss them in your morning oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or even snack on them frozen straight out of the freezer. Simple, right? Now, if you're thinking, that's great, but I need something more filling, then let's move on to another brain hero: fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, or sardines. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, especially one called DHA, which is actually a major building block of the brain. When you feed your body these healthy fats, you're quite literally giving your brain the material it needs to stay strong and flexible. And here's the interesting part: your body doesn't make DHA on its own. That means you need to get it from your diet, and fatty fish is one of the best sources. Seniors who eat fish at least once or twice a week often perform better on memory tests and show less brain shrinkage. Yes, brain shrinkage is a real thing that happens with age. Now I know, not everyone loves the taste of fish. Maybe it's too strong, or the texture's not your thing. If that's the case, don't worry. There are alternatives like flaxseed or walnuts, which we'll talk about in a bit. But if you do enjoy a nice piece of grilled salmon or even a tin of sardines on toast, you're already ahead of the game. What I love about these 2 foods, blueberries and fatty fish, is that they don't require a complete diet overhaul. You don't need to become a gourmet chef or start counting calories. It's more about adding these in where you can. Swap out dessert one night for a bowl of fresh blueberries. Have salmon instead of chicken for dinner once a week. Small, doable changes. And they're delicious, too. Alright, now that we've covered those, let's talk about something a little surprising: leafy greens. Yep, your humble spinach, kale, and even good old romaine lettuce. These aren't just for salads or folks trying to lose weight. Leafy greens are packed with folate, vitamin K, and other nutrients that support brain health in big ways. There was a long-term study done on adults in their 60s and older, and those who ate a daily serving of leafy greens had the brain function of someone 11 years younger. Let that sink in for a second. 11 years. That's not just a small difference. That's the kind of edge that helps you remember where you left your glasses or the name of your new neighbor down the hall. Now, I get it, salads can get boring fast. But leafy greens aren't just for raw eating. You can sauté them with a bit of garlic and olive oil, add them to soups, stir them into scrambled eggs, or even blend them into a smoothie if you're feeling adventurous. And if chewing kale sounds like too much work, try baby spinach. It's softer, milder, and still packed with all the good stuff. These three foods, blueberries, fatty fish, and leafy greens, each bring their own kind of magic to the table. They're not fads or passing trends. They've been studied for years, and the results keep pointing in the same direction: better brain function, sharper memory, and a slower decline as we age. Now, here's the best part. These aren't changes you have to make overnight. You're not aiming for perfect. You're aiming for better. And every step you take in the right direction, no matter how small, is one worth celebrating. Let's keep this momentum going. Now that we've covered these delicious brain boosters, let's move on to another surprising food that might just become your new favorite. Because next up is something you might already enjoy in the morning, or maybe used to, before all those health headlines made you second guess it. But believe it or not, eggs can be one of the best things you can eat for your brain. Yes, eggs. Now, I know what you might be thinking: aren't eggs bad for cholesterol? That was the common belief for years, but we now know that, for most people, eating eggs in moderation is perfectly fine, and actually very beneficial, especially for the brain. The key nutrient in eggs is something called choline. It doesn't get talked about as much as vitamins like B12 or D, but it's just as important, especially for memory and mood. Choline helps your brain produce a chemical called acetylcholine, which is like a messenger that helps brain cells talk to each other. When you don't get enough choline, that line of communication can get fuzzy, and that's when memory and focus can start to slip. One large egg has about 30% of your daily choline needs. So just 2 eggs for breakfast, and you're giving your brain a serious boost, plus a dose of protein to keep you feeling full and energized. Scrambled, poached, boiled, or sunny side up, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're getting that choline into your system regularly. And here's a little tip: if you want an even bigger brain benefit, cook those eggs with a handful of spinach or kale, and maybe a side of berries. Just like that, you've got a breakfast that's practically a brain power smoothie on a plate. But let's say you don't love eggs, or maybe you're cutting back for dietary reasons. That's totally fine. Choline is also found in other foods like chicken, fish, and even broccoli. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Speaking of foods that pack a punch, let's talk about one that's often overlooked, even though it's right there in the pantry: walnuts. Now, all nuts are good for you in different ways, but walnuts are the true MVP when it comes to brain health. If you look closely at a walnut, it actually kind of looks like a brain, wrinkly and all. It's almost like nature's way of dropping a hint. Walnuts are rich in alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, which is a type of plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. And just like the omega-3s in fish, ALA helps reduce inflammation and protect the brain from age-related decline. Inflammation might not sound like something happening in the brain, but it actually plays a huge role in memory loss, foggy thinking, and even mood changes. Here's the good news: you don't need a whole cup of walnuts every day. Just a small handful, maybe an ounce or so, is enough to reap the benefits. That's about 7 walnut halves. You can sprinkle them on oatmeal, mix them into yogurt, or just keep a little jar nearby to snack on during the day. They've got a nice crunch and a mild flavor that pairs well with sweet or savory foods. Now I know, nuts can be a bit high in calories, and if you're watching your weight, that might be a concern. But again, the key is balance. A little goes a long way, and what you're gaining in terms of brain support is well worth it. Something else I love about walnuts is how easy they are. No cooking, no prep, just grab and go. And if your teeth are sensitive or chewing is tricky, try crushing them and adding them to soft foods like porridge or cottage cheese. You still get all the nutrients, just in a gentler form. So, we've got blueberries for antioxidants, fatty fish for those powerful omega-3s, leafy greens for vitamins and brain protection, eggs for memory-boosting choline, and walnuts for healthy fats and inflammation support. Each one plays its own role, like instruments in an orchestra, coming together to create a beautiful harmony for your brain. And what's even more encouraging is that these foods don't have to be eaten in any special order or on a strict schedule. This isn't a diet, it's just a way of giving your brain what it needs, little by little, day by day. You might already be eating some of these without even realizing the benefits. Now, you're just doing it with intention, and that's powerful. Sometimes when we talk about aging, people focus so much on what we lose: energy, memory, even independence. But there's so much we can gain, too. Wisdom, perspective, confidence. And with the right support, including the food we eat, we can keep gaining for a long time to come. Alright, so now that we've talked about some of the most delicious and brain-friendly foods out there, there's one more you need to know about. This last one might surprise you, especially because for years, it had a bad reputation. But it turns out, it might just be one of the most brain-loving things you can enjoy. And yes, I'm talking about dark chocolate. You heard that right, chocolate. But not just any kind. We're talking about real, high-quality dark chocolate, at least 70% cocoa or more. The kind with that rich, slightly bitter taste that melts slowly on your tongue. Now, before you go running to the candy aisle, let's be clear, this isn't permission to eat a whole chocolate cake in one sitting. But a small square or two of dark chocolate each day. That can actually do wonders for your brain. Dark chocolate is packed with flavonoids, the same types of antioxidants found in blueberries. These flavonoids help increase blood flow to the brain, reduce inflammation, and even stimulate the growth of new brain cells. That's right, your brain can still grow new cells, even later in life, and these compounds help make that possible. Not only that, but dark chocolate can also help improve mood. Ever notice how you feel just a little happier after a bite? That's not your imagination. It boosts the release of endorphins, your brain's natural feel-good chemicals. And let's be honest, feeling good is half the battle when it comes to staying mentally sharp. A calm, content brain is a healthier brain. The trick, of course, is moderation. A small piece a day, something around an ounce, is enough. You can enjoy it with a cup of tea, melt it into your oatmeal, or pair it with a few berries for a real treat. Just be sure to check the label. You want chocolate that's low in added sugar and high in cocoa content. The fewer the ingredients, the better. So there you have it. Blueberries, fatty fish, leafy greens, eggs, walnuts, and now dark chocolate. Together, these foods make up a kind of greatest hits for your brain. And no, you don't have to eat all of them every single day. But imagine how powerful it could be if you made them part of your regular routine, just a little at a time. Maybe you swap your afternoon cookie for a few walnut halves and a piece of dark chocolate. Maybe dinner includes salmon once a week. Maybe breakfast gets a boost with some blueberries and scrambled eggs. It doesn't have to be complicated. You're not changing your entire life. You're just making smarter choices, one meal, one snack, one little habit at a time. And the beauty is, your brain starts responding to those choices. You may start feeling more alert, more focused, more yourself. Maybe you notice your memory feels a little sharper, or you don't lose track of your thoughts as often. These small shifts can add up, and they can make a big difference in how you feel, how you connect with others, and how you live each day. Because that's what this is really about, not just memory, not just avoiding decline, but living well. Living with joy, clarity, and purpose. Feeling present in your life, whether you're sharing stories with your grandchildren, laughing with old friends, or simply enjoying a quiet morning coffee while doing the crossword. A healthy brain helps you hold on to the moments that matter and keep creating new ones. So, here's what I want to leave you with: you are never too old to make a change. You're never too far gone to nourish your mind, to feel better, or to take charge of your health. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up for yourself, one small decision at a time. If any of these foods sparked your interest, I'd love to hear about it. Have you already been eating some of them? Are there new ones you're excited to try? Share your thoughts and your stories in the comments. I read every single one. This is your space, and your experience matters. If you found this helpful or inspiring in any way, give this video a like. It really helps others find it, too. And if you want more practical tips to help you live a healthier, happier life after 60, be sure to subscribe. There's so much more good stuff coming your way. You've got so much wisdom, so much life still to live. Let's keep that beautiful brain of yours thriving, together. Here's to living your best life at any age. You deserve it.